The buzz is real, and Gotham's Dark Knight is gearing up for another round of action in The Batman Part 2. Matt Reeves' sequel to the blockbuster hit has the bat signal shining bright, promising more mystery, mayhem, and a rogues gallery that'll make your head spin. But hold on to your utility belts, because as much as we crave the bat-tastic details, there's a twist. It's not part of the DCEU reboot. We're diving back into the shadowy streets of Reeves' standalone Batverse, and we've got the lowdown on the cast, potential villains, and even a sneak peek into what might go down in the city that never sleeps. They officially spilled the beans about Batman 2 in early 2023 as part of DC Studios' upcoming lineup. This sequel everyone's been buzzing about is picking up where the first one left off, doing its own thing in a universe of its own, despite the whole DCU reboot deal with James Gunn and Peter Safran. So when's Batman 2 hitting the screens, you ask? Well, mark your calendars for October 3rd, 2025. But here's the scoop. They were all set to start filming in November earlier this year. Unfortunately, a couple of strikes from the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA threw a wrench into the works. Now, word on the street is that the cameras won't start rolling until March 2024. While crossing our fingers for the original 2025 release, it's probably a good idea for fans to brace themselves for potential delays, considering how far away that still is. Fingers crossed. Behind the scenes, things are cooking up. Reeves spilled the beans that Greg Fraser is back as the cinematographer for Part 2. Guess what? DC Studios bigwig James Gunn spilled some secrets too. He said Batman 2 is coming our way as early as it possibly can, and Reeves is getting all the time he needs to make it a masterpiece. And here's the latest dish from September 2023. Variety spilled the beans that Warner Bros. Discovery is putting Matt Reeves' work on the Batman 2 script at the top of the to-do list. Once that Writers Guild of America strike is sorted, they're diving in. So despite the hiccup, there's still hope for that 2025 release date. Fingers crossed. Alright, let's talk about the Batman 2 cast. Who's making a comeback? Well, brace yourself, because of course the man himself, Bruce Wayne, is returning. And who else but Robert Pattinson is donning the cape again? After all the caped crusading in The Batman, Bruce is still on the scene, and Pattinson is back to keep things interesting. By the end of the first movie, our billionaire hero has figured out how to balance his Dark Knight duties with a bit more love for the limelight. Gotham's relationship with its masked savior might be a bit complicated, but Wayne's philanthropic game is on the upswing as the city gets a facelift. Let's go through the Batman 2 cast. Here's the current lineup. Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth. He's back, holding it down alongside Robert Pattinson's Batman. No surprises there, Alfred is a key player in Bruce Wayne's world. Zoë Kravitz as Selina Kyle / Catwoman. Her return is uncertain, but given how she left Batman to start anew at the end of the first movie, it wouldn't be shocking if she took a break. Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot / the Penguin. It's not officially confirmed, but the expectation is that he'll return after his upcoming Max streaming series The Penguin. Paul Dano as the Riddler. Despite getting caught in the first film, he's expected to come back. Paul Dano hinted that he'd probably be there if Part 2 wanted more of the Riddler. Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon. While not officially announced, you can bet Jeffrey Wright's detective will be back, where there's Batman and Gotham. Barry Keoghan as the Joker. Although not confirmed by Matt Reeves, Barry Keoghan is expected to reprise his role. Just don't assume the Joker will be the main villain, as Reeves has cautioned against that. That covers the returning crew for Batman 2, but what about the Batman 2 villain? Who will it be? Here's the latest scoop. According to a report from Deadline, Matt Reeves' Batman Part 2 is bringing in Clayface as a major player in the sequel. Now the big question is, which version are we talking about here? Will it be the shape-shifting clay monster, or the non-supernatural, vengeful stage actor who's not too thrilled about his classic film getting a reboot? On another note, Robert Pattinson has been vocal about his preferences. He's all in for a grounded version of Mr. Freeze, thinking it could pack a real punch. And he's also throwing in support for the Court of Owls, that shadowy criminal society pulling the strings behind the scenes in Gotham City for centuries. There's a whole lineup of possible villains teased for the Batman 2. The first film dropped hints about Hush, Bane, Two-Face, and the Trigger twins making an appearance. And the rumors are swirling about Paul Dano's Riddler and Colin Farrell's Penguin showing up, so you can bet they'll be in the mix somehow. Now, let's not forget about Barry Keoghan's Joker. The word on the street is that he might take a back seat in Part 2, giving someone else the chance to steal the spotlight as the main antagonist. Now let's turn our attention to the plot of The Batman Part 2 remains a mystery, especially with its star-studded cast and the potential inclusion of various villains. Brace yourselves, for a lot of plates are spinning in the air. It's a safe bet that Bruce Wayne's millionaire side will be more in the spotlight this time around. Robert Pattinson's Batman has fully embraced that aspect of his identity, unlike in his debut film. If Clayface is the chosen villain, and considering his background as a former actor, we might see him entangled in both sides of Bruce Wayne's life. After all, the worlds of rich folks and big-time actors often collide. With both the Joker and Riddler behind bars, the movie will likely find a way to weave them into the overarching plot. Batman might need to pay them a visit for reasons similar to his drop-in on the Joker in the first film. And then there's the Penguin, whose underground connections could easily tie into a larger narrative, especially if the Court of Owls takes center stage in Part 2. Gotham's going to be a wild ride with this mix of characters. Now, as for the Batman 2 connection to James Gunn's DC Universe, it's a big nope. The Batman Part 2 is keeping its distance from James Gunn's DC Universe reboot. It's set to continue residing in its own universe, and will be part of the Elseworlds label, just like the Joker 2. According to Matt Reeves, the whole Batverse thing is doing its own dance, and James Gunn and Peter Safran are giving them the green light to do just that. Even though the Batman Part 2 isn't jumping on the DCU reboot train, Peter Safran has made it clear that they're all in for its success. Despite the lack of ties to the wider DCU plans, they've got their eyes on the Batman's triumph just like everything else. Given the timeline of the Batman's promotional activities, let's do some trailer speculation for The Batman 2. The first trailer for The Batman dropped in August 2020, a solid 19 months before the movie hit theaters. That extended gap was largely thanks to the pandemic's industry-wide delays. Now, the second trailer for The Batman was unleashed at DC Fandom in October 2021, a more typical 5 months before the movie's release date. If The Batman 2 is sticking to its October 3, 2025 release, we might expect the trailer to roll out somewhere between 4 to 5 months prior. If we're placing our bets, that would make San Diego Comic-Con 2025 a prime time and place for Warner Brothers to kick off the hype train. Well, that's it. For now, make sure that you like our video. Please share your views in the comments section with us. Subscribe to the channel to get updated, and do not forget to hit the bell icon to never miss an update. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you at the next one.